and welcome to Being Paleo. I'm Professor Amy Keeley, and thank you for joining me today. A couple things: make sure that you subscribe and like the bell, click the bell so that you like my channel. That way you'll get the latest videos that come out as I'm trying to put out more, as there are many, many ancient wisdoms. As I'm asking questions and people are saying, oh, my grandmother said that. I'm adding them to this and trying to get out more and more as I'm recording them. And then also just to make sure that you get my feedback right away so that it can impact your life, because I'm going through this Being Paleo as myself, as I've shared in just a recent video, talking about why I started doing this and how I'm trying to put this into my life as well. But what is this? So this to me is Being Paleo is taking everything that everybody talks about ancient wisdom, and putting it into one package. We may hear about herbalists doing it this way, maybe hear about ancient art doing it this way. We may hear about ancient philosophers, like the Stoic philosophers, how they live their lives, but no one is really putting them all together to create one big lifestyle. There's just pieces of it. So we are keeping the modern parts of what we like, or that we're not even unconsciously aware that we're using, and then wondering why it's not completely working. Well, it's not truly holistic. You can't have it all. And as we start to decompress and we disconnect from the modern world, there are pieces that we do have to keep, like obviously putting videos out to be able to help other people and educate other people. So there are pieces of it, but again, balance that out by pulling. If you're going to keep certain modern things that you absolutely cannot live without, either try really hard to find a way to be able to not use them. Try to not use them. It's like your mom telling you to eat your peas when you were a kid and you didn't like them. She would always say, at least try them. So at least try disconnecting from the modern world and from all of these things that are causing us stress and anxiety. So the first one, ancient wisdom that I would talk about in this motivational, is called "Many hands make light work." And that's an ancient saying. And think about it, it's common sense, but I find that common sense is not so common these days. But many hands, meaning more people helping you or helping in a situation, will make it light work. That becomes easy, I think, on some levels when there are big projects and you know you need help. But we often think, let's go get a contractor to do something because it's just easier to pay a contractor. But that's the whole point. It shouldn't be easy to hire a contractor. You should want to do it yourself. But why won't you do it? Either you don't have the time, or you don't have the desire to do it, or it's just too big a project. And that's where having people help you can make light work. So for example, I do most of my own construction. There are times where I have to piece it out because I don't have the time in my schedule, but those are very carefully planned because at the end of the day, someone did the math for me on how much labor costs. So for all of you out there that are screaming for $15 an hour, and let's just say you make $15 an hour, how are you going to net enough money to be able to pay someone to do something? The answer is you can't. And you should be living below your means anyway. And so part of living below your means, like the Warren Buffetts of the world, is learning to do things yourself. And then finding out where your tolerance level is that you just can't do it, and then bring other people in to help you. Not just physically, but knowledge. That's what this whole thing about YouTube is that you now have instant access to information and knowledge to be able to do something. So if you don't know how to be able to put in, like I was doing plumbing in my bathroom, and I was, trying to change the diverter, I got everything off the wall, okay, all the plumbing, except for it had been on there since 1942 when my house was built. So it was encrusted with like calcium deposit. I couldn't get it off. I had to hire a plumber. He almost couldn't get it off with a blowtorch. So there's an example of where I tried to do it myself, and I tried really hard to do it myself, but at the end of the day got stuck and then asked for help. And that made my bill much cheaper because I'd done all the hard work of taking all the parts off. So I just only hired him for the one area that I could not do myself. Now, that's a way to be able to look at many hands make light work, is bringing people in on the things that you can't do yourself. The other way to look at it is there are many people, and I'd have to include myself in this sometimes, is that I want to do it alone. I want to do it myself. And there becomes a point where that's great. And if you've got the time and energy, do it all yourself. But when you're trying to live a very big, full life with a lot of things going on, as I do, where I'm helping as a health advocate, I'm trying to do work on my dissertation, I'm doing all these other big projects. There's a time where you bring in help, and help are your friends and family. And help can be physical help, where they may help you cut your lawn or help you put up a light on your house that you just don't have the time to do. But help can also be with mental health. I go through a lot, and I'm incredibly strong, mentally and physically. Well, physically I'm working on, but for the most part, physically. But there are times where I go low in my energy. Even though I'm very strong and I could power Detroit, you have those days where you're really low. And my lows aren't as bad as other people's lows, so I've never had to take medication for it. But my dad gave me the gift a long time ago when I was struggling with my relationship with my mom as a child, which was, I'll maybe talk about that at some point, but it was very difficult. We'll just put it that way. My dad gave me the gift of laughter. Or taking me out and trying on hats, when I was a kid, or things to distract me from the real struggle that I was in. And that even though he was not ever able to step up and help me with my relationship with my mom by shutting it down, he was able to help me create a distraction or a diversion. And that gift of laughter has helped me weather so many storms. And like when they say laughter is the best medicine, laughter truly is the best medicine. And I'll talk about that one on another video as well. But looking at it from that can also be many hands make light work, is that if you're struggling with a lot, ask for help, or have those people around you that are designed to lift you back up so that you can keep working, that you can keep going on the things that you're doing. So for me, many hands make light work doesn't necessarily mean physical, although that's a big part of it, right? Helping around the house, helping with childcare, having your friends and family help you watch your children while you're working, or your pets while you're gone. But it also means, for me, mentally, is that if you have heavy work, whether it's a lot of business that's going on, a lot of people around you, a lot of things that you have to do, a lot of things weighing on your mind, the light work about it is the heavy lifting that it takes to lift the burden off of you. So it's asking for help. So if you're having mental health issues because you're depressed, which is regret for the past, or anxiety, which is fear for the future, then ask for help. That's why I'm a health advocate. The young man I'm helping has major depression and acute anxiety. And I have learned how to be able to keep him in a calm state where even his psychologist is like, I don't understand how he's handling that. And I'm like, I call him every day, give him a little pep talk, because I know every day where he's at and he's transitioning to a new area of getting help. I know that my role as his health advocate isn't just understanding the process and getting him through the process. It's knowing that when he goes low in the process because he's fearing what the next step is, or he's depressed because he's not where he needs to be, I am the glue that keeps his mood stabilized so that he can weather this storm and get to the next place. And it's also reminding him where that next place is, so that the fear of the future is the fear of the unknown. Well, if I'm telling him, well, this is the next step, and this is the next step, or, we've had a little bit of a roadblock, and this is what's going to happen, then I'm lifting that heavy load for him of anxiety by keeping him informed of his process that I'm helping him on. So that's me doing the heavy work for somebody who's not able to do the heavy work right now. I'm making light work of his mental health issues as he goes through a process. And unfortunately, there are not as many me's out there doing this for people. I've done it for my students. I'm doing it for this young man. I'm trying to help wherever I can because I am strong. But I have those moments where I have people around me that I reach out to, and I don't have to sometimes say, hey, I'm having a really bad day, or I'm really exhausted. Those people who know me well can hear it in my voice. They'll say, okay, what's wrong? And then I tell them what's wrong. And then we end up having that conversation, about what's wrong, but then quickly go into laughing and telling jokes, or whatever it is that needs to happen to help lift my burden, and hopefully I'm helping to lift theirs as well. That's the symbiotic relationship that you have with your friends and family. And if you don't have that symbiotic relationship, as I didn't with certain members of my family, I let them glow. Fly, be free, be on your own. I don't need your toxic negativity in my life, because there are other people that don't find it toxic, but I find it toxic because they're not supporting me and where I want to go in my life as much as I'm supporting them and where they have been in their life and where they wanted to go in their life. And it was holding me back. My anger, my frustration, my rage at what was going on, is holding me back. So ultimately, for your own sanity, you have to say, fly, be free. If it's meant to come back, it's meant to come back. And if it's not, well, I will fill the void in my life with people who need what I'm trying to attain. And that's where I'm hoping to help lift those people who are watching this video, help lift your burden by saying, I understand what you're going through. I've put myself deliberately in situations where I can understand things better. I have been through a difficult childhood that had love in it, but it also had a very toxic element to it. So I have been through abuse. I have been, in other abusive relationships as well, because I don't have boundaries. I was raised to not have boundaries. I was raised to be the person who did everything for everybody to make sure that everybody was okay. And what that did is turn me into not just somebody who goes around and it's like a busy bee making sure everybody's done. I am your classic alpha leader. I am somebody who wants to get at the end of the line. If you know what a wolf pack is, a wolf pack, when they walk in the line, the wolf leader is at the back. Why? Because the weak are at the back. And sometimes you got to give them a nip in the ass to say, get going. That's what a wolf pack leader will do, which is the equivalent of tough love in the human world, or protect them from predators, because they are the weak and you need everybody in your pack. So as you guys join Being Paleo and you subscribe to my channel, I can help you either be a pack leader or give you information so that you can learn to be your own pack leader. But learning to be a pack leader and being a pack leader are two different things. So there are people that want to be a pack leader, but don't have all the knowledge and or the strength inside to do it. It is very difficult. That's why in the Native American religion, they talk about the fact, or their society, they talk about the fact that shamans are the one who will take the peyote or the mescaline and do the trip into that other world, the spiritual world, where the information comes in, because they're the ones trained with knowledge on how to be able to overcome the difficulty of going through that process. So the process is you're taking medication. It will mess with your mind, and sometimes it messes with your body. But they do that because those people out there taking medications aren't equipped to be able to handle the consequences. And we see that in today's day and age with the drug epidemic, drug use. It's clear that people are using marijuana and cocaine and fentanyl and heroin and alcohol, all of these different drugs to create mind-altering experiences to cope with what they're going through. So the answer is that you should, if you're struggling with things like that, before you turn to these medications that can make you addicted to them, and there are now studies out there showing that the long-term effects of too much marijuana can cause, in effect, a type of brain damage. And the same thing can happen to all these other drugs, because you're trying to cope with things that require, it's one thing to do it socially, when you're out with your friends and you drink or whatever, or maybe you do this. I drank socially out with friends, but I've never had the desire to lift a glass of wine, and I've got many wine bottles in my house. I've never been tempted to lift it in my own house as I'm going through my daily life. That's reserved for social with my friends. Why? Because I'm like everybody else. I'm uncomfortable sometimes being out in the public because I don't sometimes like the attention that I get. And it was a way for me to cope with the attention that I got. So I was using it to lift my mood so that I would be more focused on my friends. And that is it's not a great way to do it. You should have your own self-confidence to be able to do it. But in the end, I knew when to use it and I never overused it. So unfortunately, because people can't cope with what's going on, they'll turn to these drugs that become addictive, and it crashes your life because you're not equipped for going down on it, coming off of it, going on it, the trip that you might have, the loss of your family because you're so heavily medicated, the loss of a career because you're so heavily medicated, the destiny and trajectory you could have been on if you hadn't been on it because you had full ability of your faculties to be able to make wise decisions or handle more. When you go on, especially like weed or alcohol, they're antidepressants. They're designed to depress your system. How do you work at a high speed to get to where you want to go in life if you're depressed and then you take more medication that depresses you? So heavy lifting in your life of many hands make light work is that reach out, ask for help. There are people out there like me that are willing to be able to share my knowledge on how to be able to overcome it. And that's what I hope to do as well. And, trying to find people like me who are truly selfless. Like I put everybody else before me because I know they need me more than I need me. And there's a balance to that. That means that, like I said, when I go low, I need people around me to recharge me and to make me laugh and to help, because laughter recharges me. It makes me fill up with more energy to want to help people. So again, the many hands heavy lifting is, you can even see it in the quilting circle. Women, the project of creating a quilt is daunting. And if you need covering because it's cold, you can't wait a year for a blanket. So quilting circles were designed to bring multiple women together to sew more and quickly. And they used that as a social gathering. So they were able to take something where many people were greater than the one doing it and turned it into this unique situation where ancient knowledge was actually shared. Women would pass down information about medicines and herbal remedies and recipes and how to cope with, colicky children, and all that knowledge was around the sewing circle. You see that in dance circles too, where ancient knowledge is shared about messages in dance and music. So there's a lot when you bring in the many to help that makes light work. And light work is that mental work that we have to do as this world becomes more chaotic around you. And it will continue to become more chaotic. You have to step back. You have to take that step back and know that there are people like me that are willing to take a step back because we're already seeing things that are just not right in our society. I gave up television 25 years ago and started watching documentaries on YouTube. And now I can't get away from the ads again there. And I'm out searching for a way. And I realize that I can't right now. So my answer is just not to watch that much TV or to watch movies on CDs because I don't have the interruption of a commercial bombarding me with somebody trying to sell me something. So you're getting this knowledge from, I'm an award-winning marketer. I've won an American Marketing Association award. So when I say that is the Oscars of the marketing industry, what I'm saying to you is that as a marketer, I'm overwhelmed by what's going on and why I am choosing to reject it. I don't trust our politicians anymore. They're not there to help us. I don't trust capitalism. And I say that because I want to break that down. Capitalism is an ism. It is no more or less than communism, socialism, totalitarianism. It's the people within the system that are good and bad. Communism has good people, but it has bad people too. Capitalism has good people, but it has bad people too. Socialism has good people, but it has bad people too. And unfortunately, in this way that we live, the bad rises to the top. Let me say that again. The way we live a modern life, the bad rise to the top. They're the ones that get in leadership positions and tell you that things are going to be okay and that they're your pack leader and they are going to protect you. But what they're doing is hiding things from you trying to push on you a modern life that doesn't work. Refusing to get out of your life and let you live it and start to be more invasive. In fact, democracy is supposed to be transparent, but how is it that we are becoming more transparent as citizens, even our bodies, but government is becoming more opaque? There's less and less that we know about what our governments around the world are doing behind our backs. And that's ultimately, we saw that what happened with Snowden. He came out and shared with us what our government was doing behind our backs. The government retaliated against him, but also by saying, oh, well, we were only doing that to protect you. Really? I'm a pack leader. I don't need the government's protection. I just need the protection to be able to help myself. You use your protections judiciously and only when you really need them. And yet we become a society that's litigious. We sue for everything. You should only, in a way, use your systems, whether it's the mental health facility, the legal system, and use it when it's a last resort. Let me say that again, a last resort. You've tried everything that you can to come up with a solution, and there is no other option. That's not how we use the systems that we have today. We have people that are abusing it, let's put it that way. So the answer is that you use your ancient wisdom of many hands make light work by trying to use more people when you really need them versus when you don't need them. It will save you money. It saves you time. You do what you can do, but bring in people when you get stuck or when a project is taking too long. That's when you ask for help. When you have that moment where you realize, okay, this is taking too long, or I can't do this by myself, or I've procrastinated too much on it, then bring somebody in. So that's my ancient wisdom for today. Again, it covers a lot of topics. As I think when you look at many hands make light work, it can be, again, physical work, but it can also be the mental work that we need to do to unpack the distress that our society is in, trying to cope in this modern world, but also the going back. And that's where many hands make light work. The more people that watch this video and my channel, the more that we as a collective can start to put all of the ancient wisdom together, that everybody's already talking about it, into a true lifestyle that then brings us back to the core of what makes us stable, happy, and spiritually fulfilled. But thank you very much, and have a great day being Paleo.